The man reputed to be Chicago's top mob boss is a man seldom seen by anyone. But tonight, Carol gives us a rare and exclusive glimpse of the man nicknamed Big Tuna.
Ron, at this time of year, Tony Accardo is normally in Palm Springs, California. But this weekend, he was here in Chicago for a special occasion. It was 5 minutes before 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon when a white stretch limousine pulled up to the Grace Evangelical Lutheran Church in the western suburb of River Forest. Its principal passenger, Tony Accardo. At almost 84, he is slight and stooped, but according to government sources, the frailty of his appearance is contradicted by the power he still holds over the Chicago mob.
Anthony Joseph Accardo, originally named Antonino Leonardo Accardo and famously nicknamed Joe Batters and Big Tuna, was a prominent figure in American organized crime. Over a career that spanned nearly 8 decades, he ascended from a minor street thug to become one of the most influential leaders of the Chicago outfit. In 1947, he took on the role of day-to-day boss, and by 1972, he was the force behind the outfit's leadership, guiding its operations and expanding its influence across various regions. Under Accardo's strategic leadership, the outfit branched into new and profitable ventures, significantly boosting its wealth and power. Accardo was born on April 28, 1906, in the near west side of Chicago, the second of 6 children to Sicilian immigrants Francesco and Maria Tellata Accardo. His parents had moved from Castelvetrano, Sicily to the U.S. just a year before his birth, seeking a better life. However, life in the tough neighborhoods of Chicago offered young Accardo limited options. At 14, he dropped out of school and began spending his time around local pool halls, where he became involved with the Circus Cafe Gang, a group led by Claude Maddox and Tony Capizio. This gang, one of several that roamed the streets of Chicago's rougher areas, served as a recruiting ground for the city's more organized and influential crime syndicates. Accardo's ruthless potential soon caught the eye of Jack Machine Gun McGurn, a top enforcer for Al Capone, who saw Accardo as a valuable asset. Alongside his longtime associate Tony Maslach of Gary, Indiana, Accardo joined Capone's crew. This marked the beginning of his rise in Chicago's underworld, as he became known not only for his loyalty, but also for his unflinching dedication, which would eventually help shape the legacy of one of America's most notorious crime families. During the Prohibition era, Tony Accardo earned the nickname Joe Batters after reportedly using a baseball bat to eliminate 3 mobsters who had crossed the outfit. Al Capone supposedly remarked, "This kid's a real Joe Batters." In 1939, Chicago newspapers added another nickname, the Big Tuna, after Accardo caught an enormous 400-pound tuna during a fishing trip to Wedgeport, Nova Scotia. He posed proudly with his catch, and the photo made headlines. Over the years, Accardo hinted on federal wiretaps that he had been involved in the infamous 1929 St. Valentine's Day massacre, where Capone's men allegedly wiped out 7 members of Bugs Moran's North Side gang. Accardo also claimed a role in the hit on Brooklyn gang boss Frankie Yale to settle a long-standing feud. Still, most experts believe Accardo had only minor involvement in the massacre and no involvement in Yale's death, which is more likely attributed to hitmen Gus Winkler, Fred Burke, and Louis Campagna. However, Accardo may have taken part in the assassination of Northside leader Jaime Weiss in 1926, just outside the Holy Name Cathedral in Chicago. In 1932, notorious gangster Al Capone faced his downfall when he was convicted of tax evasion and sentenced to serve 11 years in prison. With Capone behind bars, Frank the Enforcer Nitti, who had recently completed an 18-month sentence for the same crime, stepped in to take over as boss of the Chicago Outfit, a powerful crime syndicate that ruled much of Chicago's underworld. Around this time, Nitti took notice of Tony Accardo, an emerging figure within the outfit who had proven to be both highly resourceful and profitable. Impressed by Accardo's ability to bring in substantial earnings for the organization, Nitti granted him permission to form his own crew. Accardo's loyalty and success also earned him the title of head enforcer, a role that came with considerable influence within the syndicate. Accardo wasted no time expanding his reach. Under his leadership, his crew launched a series of profitable ventures that included gambling rings, loan sharking, bookmaking operations, and extortion schemes. They also controlled the distribution of untaxed goods such as alcohol and cigarettes, making Accardo's crew a major revenue source for the outfit. In line with the outfit's structure, Accardo collected a mandatory street tax, a 5% cut of his crew's earnings. This payment was a cornerstone of the outfit's financial model, as Accardo himself forwarded a portion of these earnings up the chain to the boss. Non-compliance, however, was not tolerated. If a crew member refused to pay or attempted to undercut the organization by offering less than half the required amount, the punishment was severe and often fatal. Among Accardo's ranks were up-and-coming mobsters who would go on to become prominent figures in the outfit, such as Gus Gussie Alex and Joseph Joey Doves Ayupa. With their support, Accardo strengthened his influence, establishing himself as a pivotal leader within the outfit and laying the foundation for future power and wealth within Chicago's organized crime circles. In the 1940s, Tony Accardo continued his swift rise through the ranks of the Chicago outfit, becoming one of its most influential figures. As the decade advanced, the outfit's senior leaders came under scrutiny for using their control over labor unions to extort millions from Hollywood studios, threatening strikes to get their way. Facing a second prison term, a claustrophobic Frank Nitti tragically took his own life in 1943. Paul, the waiter Rica, who had been the de facto boss since Al Capone's imprisonment, officially assumed the top role and appointed Accardo as his underboss. For the next 30 years, Rica and Accardo would dominate the outfit's leadership. When Rica was sentenced to a decade in prison for his role in the Hollywood scheme, Accardo took over as acting boss. 3 years later, Rica's parole barred him from contacting mob associates, making Accardo the official boss. Despite this, the two maintained a unique balance of power, with Accardo as the public face and Rica quietly influencing decisions as a trusted advisor. Under Tony Accardo's leadership in the late 1940s, Chicago's outfit took on new ventures that would expand its reach and cement its influence across the United States. Recognizing the potential for profits in various illicit markets, Accardo steered the outfit into the slot and vending machine businesses, counterfeit cigarette and liquor tax stamps, and a lucrative expansion of narcotics trafficking. He strategically placed slot machines in gas stations, restaurants, and bars throughout the outfit's territory, creating a steady flow of income. Beyond Chicago, the outfit also expanded its grip into Las Vegas, wresting control of gambling operations from New York's 5 families. Accardo cleverly negotiated deals to ensure that his slot machines filled the floors of all legitimate Las Vegas casinos, effectively monopolizing the city's gaming infrastructure. In Kansas and Oklahoma, Accardo exploited Prohibition-era sentiments by capitalizing on the official ban on alcohol, flooding the market with bootlegged liquor. This venture contributed significantly to the outfit's growing dominance over organized crime in the western United States. To minimize law enforcement scrutiny, Accardo phased out traditional, high-risk criminal activities like labor racketeering and extortion, which had often drawn unwanted attention. He transformed the outfit's brothel operations into discreet call girl services, an innovation that not only reduced legal risk, but also increased profitability. This era of calculated expansion and modernization brought a golden age of wealth and influence for the outfit. Accardo, alongside his trusted associate Paul Rica, emphasized the importance of maintaining a low profile. They let figures like the flamboyant Sam Giancana attract the spotlight, preferring to manage things quietly from behind the scenes. Accardo's caution even extended to popular culture. When professional wrestlers Lou Albano and Tony Altomare brought a Mafia-themed gimmick to Chicago in 1961, Accardo urged them to abandon the act, wary of drawing any public association with organized crime. Accardo's strategic vision and Rica's loyalty allowed them to maintain control far longer than Al Capone had. Accardo's intellect and shrewd decisions inspired admiration within the outfit, with Rica once noting, "Accardo had more brains for breakfast than Capone had in a lifetime." Through low-profile management and innovative operations, Accardo led the outfit into a new era, one that would reshape organized crime in America. Following 1957, Tony Accardo, facing mounting pressure from the IRS, chose to step back from his official role as the head of the Chicago outfit, passing the title to his protege, Sam Giancana. Though no longer directly managing day-to-day operations, Accardo retained significant influence as the organization's consigliere. This role allowed him to wield substantial power as he continued to command respect and made final decisions on major matters within the outfit. Giancana, despite his position as boss, was still required to seek Accardo's and former boss Paul Rica's approval for critical decisions, including life-or-death matters like sanctioned murders. However, tensions soon began to simmer beneath the surface. Giancana's approach sharply contrasted with Accardo's discreet style. A widower with a taste for the high life, Giancana became a fixture in upscale clubs and embarked on a highly publicized romance with singer Phyllis McGuire. His flashy lifestyle not only distanced him from the outfit's more traditional values, but also attracted undue attention from law enforcement. Outfit members became frustrated, feeling that Giancana's refusal to share profits from lucrative casinos in Iran and Central America created resentment within the ranks. Additionally, the FBI's relentless surveillance of Giancana's every move only intensified concerns that he was putting the entire operation at risk. By 1966, these tensions came to a head when Giancana faced jail time on contempt of court charges. Seizing the opportunity, Accardo and Rica decided it was time for a change in leadership, replacing him with Joseph Ayupa. Giancana would spend the next several years in exile in Mexico until he was forcibly deported back to the United States. In June 1975, he met a violent end in his own Oak Park, Illinois home, where he was gunned down while cooking Italian sausages and escarole. With Rica's passing in 1972, Accardo had risen to an almost legendary status as the undisputed overseer of the outfit, his authority unchallenged as he continued to shape the underworld with a calculated, formidable presence. During the winter of 1978, while Chicago crime boss Anthony Big Tuna Accardo enjoyed a relaxing getaway in sunny California, a group of burglars decided to target his luxurious River Forest estate. The break-in was not only bold, but also a deeply personal affront to Accardo, who had spent years building an empire marked by strict loyalty and ruthless discipline. It was a crime that couldn't go unanswered, especially given the high-profile nature of the victim. Soon after the break-in, a chilling series of events followed. Over the next several weeks, the 3 suspected burglars, along with 4 individuals linked to them, were found dead, strangled, and with their throats brutally slashed. These grisly murders sent shockwaves through the underworld and beyond, reinforcing the ominous message that crossing Accardo would lead to severe consequences. While no one was directly convicted of these particular murders at the time, law enforcement had little doubt that Accardo had orchestrated the retaliatory slayings. This suspicion was confirmed decades later in 2002 during the infamous Family Secrets trial, a case that finally shed light on the dark depths of Chicago's organized crime network. Outfit insider Nicholas Calabrese, who had become a government witness, revealed on the stand that he had been involved in all 7 murders. Calabrese's testimony exposed not only the truth behind these killings, but also helped lead to the conviction of several other assassins who were sentenced to long prison terms, marking a significant victory in the fight against the Chicago outfit's violent reign. In 1934, Tony Accardo, an influential figure in organized crime, crossed paths with Clarice Portzani, a talented Polish-American chorus girl who would later become his wife. Their union blossomed into a large and tightly knit family, with the couple welcoming 2 daughters and adopting 2 sons. As time went on, several of Accardo's descendants made notable careers in the National Football League, NFL, adding a fascinating athletic legacy to the family. One of their daughters, Marie, married Palmer Pyle, a skilled guard who played professionally for the Baltimore Colts, Minnesota Vikings, and Oakland Raiders. The Pyle family's NFL connection continued with their son, Eric Kumaro, who followed his father into the league, playing as a linebacker for the Miami Dolphins. Eric's athletic talents were passed down to his son, Jake, who played as a wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills, carrying the family name into yet another NFL generation. The sports legacy extended further through Eric's sister Cheryl, who married John Bosa, a defensive end who also played for the Miami Dolphins. Cheryl and John's sons, Joey and Nick Bosa, would go on to make impressive names for themselves in the NFL, both excelling as defensive ends like their father. Joey currently represents the Los Angeles Chargers, while his younger brother Nick has become a powerhouse for the San Francisco 49ers. Today, the Accardo family stands out not only for its colorful history, but also for its enduring mark on the world of professional football. For much of his married life, Accardo resided in River Forest, Illinois, in a luxurious 6-bedroom, 6-bath home on Franklin Avenue. This lavish property featured unique amenities, including 2 private bowling lanes, an indoor swimming pool, and even a pipe organ. As the IRS began scrutinizing his apparent wealth, Accardo moved to a more discreet ranch-style home on North Ashland Avenue, where he added a secure vault. Living nearby was his close friend and neighbor, Dr. Jim Cardo, who owned the Mars Candy Mansion on Ashland Avenue. Due to their similar last names, people often confuse Cardo with Accardo, and over time, Dr. Cardo became a respected figure within Accardo's circle. Alongside his wife Rose, a nurse, and her brother Leon Kolenko, it was rumored that Dr. Cardo offered off-the-record medical assistance to Accardo. Despite the intrigue surrounding his lifestyle, Accardo maintained an official role as a beer salesman for a Chicago brewery. During the late 1970s, Anthony "Big Tuna" Accardo expanded his reach beyond Chicago, purchasing a retreat in Palm Springs, California, where he could enjoy a more relaxed lifestyle while still holding firm control over his organized crime empire. Despite the distance, Accardo frequently traveled back to Chicago to oversee sit-downs, the meetings in which he arbitrated disputes and resolved conflicts within the Chicago outfit. His investments grew considerably over the years, extending into a diverse range of legitimate businesses. By this period in his life, Accardo's portfolio included ownership stakes in commercial office spaces, shopping centers, and extensive agricultural assets, such as lumber farms and paper mills. His ventures also branched out into hotels, car dealerships, trucking firms, newspapers, restaurants, and travel agencies, solidifying his influence far beyond the criminal underworld. Accardo spent his later years in Barrington Hills, Illinois, residing with his daughter and son-in-law, living in quiet luxury while his reputation loomed large. On May 22, 1992, at the age of 86, Accardo passed away from complications related to respiratory and heart conditions, marking the end of a criminal career that spanned decades. His final resting place is in a crypt at the Queen of Heaven Cemetery's mausoleum in Hillside, Illinois, a dignified sight for a man who had evaded the justice system remarkably well. Despite an arrest record that began as early as 1922, Accardo's time behind bars amounted to just a single night, an impressive testament to his influence and strategic intelligence in a dangerous world. Although Accardo was known to be highly strategic and secretive, his leadership also had a violent edge. While he preferred to operate behind the scenes, Accardo was known for his ruthlessness when it came to eliminating rivals or dealing with betrayal within the outfit. Under his watch, the Chicago outfit continued to engage in violent acts, including murders, extortion, and other forms of intimidation. Yet Accardo's style was less overtly brutal than some of his predecessors, and he was able to avoid significant legal scrutiny by remaining behind the scenes, using intermediaries and keeping his hands clean of direct criminal acts. Despite his criminal activities, Accardo managed to avoid conviction on serious charges for much of his life. His ability to avoid prosecution, coupled with his deep understanding of the law and the workings of the criminal justice system, reinforced his reputation as a savvy and untouchable figure in organized crime. Even in the 1970s and 1980s, as law enforcement increasingly targeted organized crime, Accardo maintained influence over the outfit. Accardo's legacy extends beyond his role in the Mafia. He was the embodiment of the classic, cold-blooded, strategic gangster who operated with a mix of intelligence, pragmatism, and violence. His life and career became the subject of numerous books, films, and documentaries helping to shape the public's understanding of Mafia culture. Accardo's influence can also be seen in the way the Chicago outfit operates today, with many of the practices he developed still in place. As a symbol of Mafia power, Accardo's impact was also felt in the way he navigated relationships with law enforcement, politicians, and business figures. He was known for his ability to avoid direct conflict with law enforcement and to use his political connections to protect the outfit's interests. In sum, Tony Accardo's legacy in the American Mafia is one of strategic brilliance, criminal innovation, and ruthless leadership. He was not only one of the most powerful Mafia bosses of the 20th century, but also one of the most enduring figures in the history of organized crime in America. His ability to maintain control over the Chicago outfit for decades while avoiding legal consequences and managing its criminal enterprises with sophistication set him apart as a central figure in the Mafia's legacy in America.
Hit on a big-shot mobster. It had to come from somebody like Accardo.
June 21st, 1984. A frail-looking 78-year-old man enters a hearing room in the United States Capitol. He is Chicago mob legend Tony Accardo. Accardo has been the most powerful man in the outfit for 40 years. All his life he has shied away from the limelight. Now, in declining health, he is forced to testify before a Senate committee investigating organized crime.
I would sometimes have to repeat the questions to him so he could know what they were because his hearing was not the best at that particular point. He did have a hearing aid. I leaned over to him a number of times to talk to him.
But anyone hoping that his testimony will unlock the secrets of the Chicago mob will be sorely disappointed. Accardo was questioned by Senator William Roth of Delaware.
What can you tell us about Giancana's murder?
I don't know anything about it.
You have no knowledge, direct or indirect?
None whatsoever.
Did you have anything to do with it?
No, sir.
Have you ever directed anybody to commit murder?
No, sir.
Have you ever killed anyone?
No, sir.
Wait a minute, Tony Accardo talking? I can't believe that, people are saying. But what he did, he orchestrated something very clever. He admitted that he was a gambler. Then he won money at the racetrack. His profession, he claimed, was a beer salesman. That's what he did for a living.
No, sir.
Now, again, what was your association with with Al Capone?
None association at all. Just friendly. Hello, and how are you?
Are you aware that you were reputed to be his chauffeur and bodyguard?
No, sir. Outside of the newspapers.
Once again, Tony Joe Batters Accardo beats the rap.
He skirted. He got him there. He fooled the government. He had a charmed life. He was always able to win out.
The government was not able to bring perjury charges or pursue any other challenge to the questions because they just didn't have any evidence that what he told them was not true. The fact that a senator doesn't believe they're true or that he believes that somebody committed perjury doesn't make it so.
Outwardly, Accardo bears no resemblance to the gun-toting thug who once earned the nickname Joe Batters and allegedly took part in the St. Valentine's Day massacre. But appearances are deceiving.
He was an old man, looked like a benign grandfather. And I'm sure to his grandchildren he was a benign grandfather.